Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Grady Dick will shovel it into the corner, gets it back, takes the three, and hits!
Oh, my, that is gutsy there because I don't think he's even taken a shot in the second half, let alone made one.
First of all, congrats to Kansas. They back and forth game really the whole time. I mean, they have championship DNA. They've been there before.
Michigan State with it. Sissoko on top. Hands it off to Walker. Walker drives. Floater at the rim. Grabbed by Sissoko and flushed for the lead.
When you're playing late in November in this league and you've got a chance to win the conference and or play in the Big 12 championship game, you kind of have to do that, and the red shirt kind of becomes secondary.
Everyone was very impressed. To go to Texas in Austin, full house, to give up 3 points. As you all know, the other touchdown was a scoop and score by Texas. But again,
just wasn't our day on the shots. We missed some opportunities that we could have, would have, should have, but I think Tyler probably says the same thing, so it probably balances out. But yeah, we really felt if we could just get that tying goal, it would totally flip that game.
Two separate entities, PJ Tour, European Tour, and Live, they're just going to keep going both their separate ways, and something happens, and whether that's in the hands of a court or a judge, or if something else happens along the way, no one really knows. But right now, it seems like it's just a bit of a steal.
Full confidence in my teammates, full confidence in the coaching staff. I know that once we're out there, we're going to execute, we're going to get the job done. I think the build-up to the first game, that's really what's keeping a lot of us up at night.
And welcome to Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM, Talk of the Town. Welcome in. It's the Hump Day Show, Wednesday here in the Mayo Money Management Studio. Steve Webster joined by Mike Corson and Mike Hesher for the program today. Appearing on the show, Fran Martin, Assistant Executive Director for the Kansas State High School Activities Association. Voice of the Tigers, Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock. Wednesday sports headlines, and the sounds of the past 24 hours. We do have an open slot since we're on intercession for Panther Prowls right now. This is buffer week. So we should have just waited for... Well, Dan Holliday's downtown. He's making a speech today at the event center, so he couldn't stick around. How about that? Dan Holliday, our staff meteorologist, brought in 2 boxes of donuts today.
And they were tasty.
Did you have 1 or 2?
I just had 1.
You only had 1?
Yes.
Karina Ramirez had one of those big manhole cover cinnamon rolls.
Those were huge.
Yes. So I had a Long John, and then that I went back there and couldn't. That apple fritter, I couldn't leave that alone. So I'm having severe sugar low right now. So
you're crashing?
I'm crashing right now during the program.
That's why the lack of enthusiasm.
Sorry you didn't get to meet Dan Holliday. Man, he's a cool dude. We're gonna have. Why not have him on Sports
That's
Day?
A good point.
Yeah.
You got 2 of us sitting.
Oh, nice, gosh darn it. Okay.
You got 2 of us sitting here, and you missed the Hump Day call. Mike. Guess what day it is?
That guy's name was named Mike, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Best commercial ever.
Next Wednesday.
He won't be, he will be here next Wednesday, actually.
Bitter men.
Nobody's bitter. It just was like,
what do you mean? Get off my yard yesterday was like...
But it wasn't directed at you. It was directed at the companies.
Wow.
Which one Eagle is, one that doesn't allow people to carry over vacation days.
So I'm just doing what they
you
want
have
me
to do it. Nobody's holding you account. I mean, nobody's upset with you.
Okay. Promise?
Promise.
All right.
As long as you don't text me at 6:05 in the morning again. Of course, Randy Gehring topped you. Randy Gehring texted me the other day at 1:42 a.m. I was like, Randy, what's the deal? But
how do you butt dial somebody in your pajamas?
Well, I'm not going to go any further with that one. It was a senior citizen thing. That's all we'll say.
Don't bring up, you can't talk in riddles on the show. If you bring something up, what did he text you at 1:32 in the morning? Were you Was he texting you to get out of his yard?
He was actually telling me that he found an extension cord that belonged in one of our sports kits. Why he couldn't have waited until 7 a.m. to text me that, I'm not quite sure. But sad part was I was awake when he texted me, so I don't know what that says about me.
You were in the bathroom. You knew what your rotation was. All right, sounds the past 24 hours or so. You're two old guys in the middle of the night, man. That's what you do.
You hit it on the head, man.
Do something else, man. Where you just
Corson's over here going, what are they talking about?
Well, I'm up. I'm sure Hesher is too. So,
Okay, you played last night.
sounds of the past 24 hours or so, Mr. Impatient. Here we go. The call on 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mark Kestershire with the call. Grady Dick knocking down a big shot late in the second half. Put KU up 61-59. KU beats the Duke Blue Devils 69-54. They beat Duke 4 of the last 5 times. Jalen Wilson at career had 25 points. And Grady Dick, 3 crucial baskets in the final 2.5 minutes. KJ, the big and one. That was put him up by 4-5. I didn't see it because after the first game went double overtime, that was it. I had to check it in. That first game, an upset as unranked Michigan State upset 4th-ranked Kentucky. You heard the call on KVGB last night. Michigan State's Matty Sissoko slamming down a dunk in the second overtime. Sparty pulls away, wins it 86-77. So the young man who stays up late and was able to
I was going to do homework just for the show. Couldn't do it. So I recorded it because the first game went an hour late, and then they had to do the football rankings. But so I fast forward because it's obviously the last 5 minutes. The teams were a combined 4 of 35 three-pointers before Grady Dick hit that 3. Duke goes right back down, hits a 3, takes the lead back, and then Dick scores 2 more times down the stretch. So then it's a 1 or 2 possession game. Duke has 3 team fouls in the final minute, and the guys are sagging back. And I told Cole Reif earlier, Coach Kruzewski was probably at home screaming that you cannot be in that situation.
Did Cole stay up and watch it?
He did.
How was his pulse this morning?
KU dominated the first half, so he said they were the better team. And he was actually a little surprised that Duke came back and made it a game there in the second half.
Oh, so he's down. Okay, all right.
He also said to me that the regular season doesn't bother him as much anymore. He goes, when they get to postseason, that's when the losses are harder to take.
And it's been tough, man, for him. Well, they got Final Four last year. They'll feel good about that. Okay. So KU gets a win. They take on Southern Utah. I mean, it's back into that schedule coming up here on Friday. Wyatt Thompson, he was on the show yesterday. No more talk of a red shirt in Manhattan. Chris Kleiman yesterday making it clear. We talked to Wyatt before that press conference, too. Wyatt was right on. Says, Will is going to be the guy. That was Chris Kleiman, and Wyatt Thompson basically saying that. 717 yards, 9 touchdowns in his last 3 games. So no more red shirt, even though I guess if he got sick and didn't play in the next 2 games, he could still use a red shirt year, but then Jake Rubley's going to have to come into the game. And
what was interesting in that chat you had with Wyatt yesterday, if Adrian had, lost his football helmet and had to come out a single play, they would have thrown in Rubley for that one play to help keep the red shirt. But now that you've got more significant things, it's an easier decision.
Which they did in the TCU game. Rubley came on and promptly threw an interception.
Yes. So when the rankings came out last night, I don't know, I didn't look at them too hard, but here's K-State with 3 losses, ranked number 15. I don't think there's too many other 3-loss teams up there. And it just, once again, you shake your head. At least 2 of the 3 were winnable, especially with what we've seen out of Howard.
And that's what Wyatt also said in his second comment was that, teams that have given them some trouble have been good tacklers in space. So Deuce Vaughn, they've been able to shut him down, but not teams that when they're going against Will Howard, he stretches the field. So
would you like my theory?
Yes, please.
So we've got an offensive coordinator who was not a good thrower. Does he know how to manage a thrower, or did he want a kid like himself? So Will Howard is kind of the opposite of what Colin Klein ever was.
Correct.
So it makes sense that he likes to run the offense with Martinez, but who's putting up the points? I just want those games back.
Can't have them.
But speaking of TCU's number 4 still, their strength of schedule was rated higher than all the other teams.
Which brings us to Boo Kerrigan, who is the selection committee chair, talking about TCU, their resume after last night's rankings release. So they're going to take on K-State in the Big 12 championship game, it looks like, as long as K-State doesn't stumble against West Virginia this Saturday. So as a Big 12 fan, well, you got to root for K-State, I guess, right? If you're from the state of Kansas. But if they run the table, TCU should get in it, despite not having, I mean, they're good value. They're not Jiffy or Peter Pan, as we use a peanut butter analogy here to describe them.
Nobody's heard of Great Value in like 12 years. It took me a second.
Where do you shop?
I was going to say, I eat Great Value. I eat Great Value.
Is it Great Value? They used to have the yellow cans, or maybe that was Save.
No.
Okay, maybe I eat Great Value.
You're bringing Food for Less up? They haven't been open for 30 years.
That's where I thought you were going.
You remember the Food for Less? You don't, because you weren't. It had this smell in it that was, it was awful.
I used to ride on the bottom of the carts out there.
Cake. Anyway, no matter what happens to K-State, they win Saturday. They're going to be in the Big 12 championship game. So they're going to end up. So where do they go if TCU, the highest ranked team that wouldn't be in the playoffs, would be in the Sugar Bowl from the Big 12? So if K-State beats them and they don't jump over them.
It's tricky. Like Tulane's several spots behind K-State in the rank, and you beat them head-to-head. So who knows what these guys are going to say.
Tulane's not going anywhere. No. I'm sorry. You talk about a non-name. They're not even Great Value.
Well, they're not bad. So the kicker here is Ohio State, Michigan are coming up. So probably Michigan's going to drop out of the top 4.
They've got to win, and they're out, I would think,
and
with
then,
the worst record, with the worst strength of schedule.
Tennessee's waiting in the wings. And so there's the argument right there. Where's the number 4 or 5? Is it TCU or Tennessee? I would not want to play Tennessee. So I hope TCU as the Big 12 representative.
If TCU played Tennessee, that game, what do you think? What would be the over-under on points? 150? 77-74 final?
There's some shots.
Tennessee can't stop anybody either.
Yeah. I just hope if TCU, because I'll probably go for K-State. I can't. It's just a switch.
Right.
But if TCU does advance, make us proud and don't have everybody say 3 weeks later that I told you the Big 12 shouldn't have been in there.
Well, they've said that about the Big 10 all the time, too. But, they kept, or Notre Dame always.
Well, I think Oklahoma has fit into that bill as well.
Yes.
The Irish are ranked again. They got 5 wins.
They're not even bowl eligible yet?
They have USC coming up. They beat USC. That could vault them into contention for the playoff spot.
Number 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think it'd be right there. Todd Moore yesterday giving us an update from Georgia. Lady Cougars fall 2-0 to Tyler, Texas. So the Barton soccer season is over on the women's side. Rory McIlroy, throwing a little golf on there for you today, discussing the ongoing feud between the PGA Tour and Live Golf, basically saying Greg Norman needs to go or nothing's going to get done. I like that. Also, he takes issue with Greg Norman saying Tiger Woods should be thankful for Live Golf, forcing the tour to provide more money to players. Tiger's out. I don't watch golf anymore, but if they want to continue to screw up their sport, then they'll be playing for what the pickleball champions got at Great Bend Rec over the weekend.
They'll be
Turkeys. Right, turkeys.
They'll be able to play for your food.
Third place got pumpkin pie. I'm going for third place.
And I want to get your comment on this because you guys have brought me around here. It is almost World Cup time. In fact, coming up on Sunday, I think the World Cup gets underway in Qatar. Tim Way. Is that how you pronounce it? He's on Team USA, for guys' sake.
I got my Sports Illustrated at home. I haven't cracked it yet. It's for Friday's show.
Soccer U.S. men's national team. They're getting ready. They're excited. They're going to roll through and go into the knockout. They're going to beat England. They're going to beat Wales. And they're going to take out Iran. Or, I mean, they're going to defeat Iran. I don't want to say take out.
I was going to say, be careful what you say.
To say at this time. So, Tim Way. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I just threw it out there because I was confident that you would know with Team USA World Cup.
That doesn't sound like a real tough pool play to me. Iran and other than England.
But it's Wales, isn't it?
Wales.
Yeah, so it's not even. It should be 3-0, and they take the top two out.
Yeah, but Wales. I mean, they're don't they have somebody like Tottenham or somebody like that in the English Premier League?
I would think there's a nice mix, but that's the reason I don't know any of our players, because they're also playing overseas. So it should eventually net some wins at the international level.
I'm going to get that text in a moment I always get when we start talking NBA basketball.
Wait, we saw the news out of Kansas City yesterday. Now I forgot.
No, okay, no, that's completes the sounds the past 24 hours.
Gotcha.
Now we move in to.
So if I would have said that, you would have cut me off. But he says that it's okay.
I'm new.
He's looking.
I get to wear the new tag for at least a year.
Are we talking about the Ryan O'Hearn signing, maybe? The other thing out of Kansas City.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, college basketball tonight. The Barton Cougars are on the road. They go to Garden City. Conference play begins tonight. Cougar men are 5-1. Garden City's 4-0. Barton women, they're up to number 16 this week in the NJCAA Division I poll. They're 6-0, taking on Garden City, who is 4-2. Cole Reif will have a cozy broadcast spot at the Bronc Arena or whatever they call it. It's a good place to call a game from. You're nice up and high. You're looking down over the court. 5:15 pregame, B1043, The Point tonight. This I would have led with this morning if I knew that it upset Hesher as much as it did this morning. Royals and first baseman Ryan O'Hearn agreeing to a $1.4 million contract to avoid salary arbitration. Why was that upset you so much? You need a pinch hitter. That's where he excels in pinch hitting. He hit over 400 last year as a pinch hitter.
He had one decent half of a season. And he may be a decent pinch hitter, but you can find other decent pinch hitters. They got Hunter Dozier.
$1.4 million. Come on.
Yeah. Let me tell you, my Ryan O'Hearn story, I was at FanFest, got called up on the stage and played Royals Feud, like Family Feud, and Ryan O'Hearn was my teammate. And so you'd think these other guys would be excited about going on stage and playing with the ball players. Nobody would say a word, so it was me and Ryan versus Cam Gallagher and the other team.
Did you guys win?
Got beat. Name an animal that jumps.
Kangaroo.
Birds. Birds stole the show. Yeah, I said rabbit.
You're like, where's Waldo at? I mean, if there's a big event, you just see Corson out
He's
there.
I'm telling you what.
Did you see Marlon Mann at the games last night?
No.
He was courtside in his orange apparel.
Who the hell is Marlon Mans? I'm sorry.
I'm with Steve. Who is that?
What are you talking about? I met him too.
This is Mark Clay Van Camp and Robbins, man. You got the
He's behind every major sporting event. He wears his Marlin orange. He's some attorney that gets these high dollar tickets.
That wig? I don't think that wears the orange and
is that like the?
No, it's just an orange jacket.
It's like the 316 guy that always used.
Maybe, but he's
John 316. I
for a while he was behind the plate at every World Series game at every.
Oh,
final.
that guy. Okay.
So I met him too.
Okay.
He was at FanFest.
Folks, we are going to have a special autograph day coming up. We're going to go to a location, and you can come out and meet the one and only Mike Corson. I should know these people. You make Hesh and me hipper.
Well, that's not hard, but
Steve
least for me. I'll speak for myself.
Kansas City Royals owner John Sherman saying the team considering several sites to build a replacement for the aging Kauffman Stadium. In a letter to fans posted on social media yesterday, Sherman estimated the new stadium district could cost $2 billion. He says that would make it the most costly project in Kansas City history. Sherman I bought the team, blah, 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 blah. Sherman said sites under construction are in downtown Kansas City or close to it. He did not say that he was paying for it himself.
And I listened to a station out of Kansas City this morning, and they wanted to emphasize it is the $2 billion is for the district, not specifically for the stadium.
It's the second most expensive after signing Ryan O'Hearn. So I've been on the field at Wrigley, walked around the field at Minneapolis. Guess what they both have? Infrastructure. They got trains that go by the place. How are you going to... While I think it's cool and exciting for downtown businesses to have the hub down there, how are you going to navigate 40,000 people in downtown?
I think
you start on one side. Do you ever see those movies, like those nature movies, when they have the thousands of wildebeest that run across the river? That's what you do. You just everybody on the south side just runs across I-70, scales that wall by Municipal Auditorium, and you get in the game that way. I don't know. That's probably what $2 billion
I think they've addressed that. That's part of the $2 billion. They're talking about a fairly nice district downtown, or on the northeast side.
Hey, that place was a ghost town. That was a dump, man.
And that's what they said that this morning.
The Center, the T-Mobile Center, or whatever it is.
What used to be the Power and Light District.
The flip phone district, or whatever it is now. Yeah, it's awesome down there.
Yeah. So, yeah. They were excited.
They'd had the Big 12 women's tournament. The men's tournament was at Kemper, right?
Right.
Well, the women's tournament was at Municipal Auditorium, so there's that little park there.
Yep.
Between there and the Sheridan. I mean, that was one block, and you took your life into your own hands. Or you could walk underground through the parking garages underneath and go that way.
And I've been to the MIAA tournament because they have that at Municipal Auditorium in the last couple of years, and there is more downtown business.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I enjoy it.
I think it's awesome.
Municipal's cool in my opinion.
Before they took all that money to renovate Kauffman Stadium, they should have done this a long time ago.
All I would say, I walked around last year because I like to walk around. And because
you don't have tickets. That's how. See, if you get tickets to the game,
I was inside. I was inside and walked around. It is showing its age, and they talk about the bowels of the stadium are what's really causing the problems.
Are you talking about you or the?
Well, both of us, if you really need to know. Wow, this.
What are you talking about? Municipal?
No, I went to Kauffman Stadium. I'm sorry, I made a transition. You guys got to keep up. Come on.
All right, Jiminy Christmas. Okay.
We either got a lot of people listening or a lot of clicks
Fran
turning
Martin
off.
is going to come on unless she's been listening in Topeka, and she probably will refuse to come on. Also, Gerard Wellbrock joining us here on the program. It's one and only Sports Day show. It is buffer week here for the boys.
Obviously.
On KVGB. Learn the skills you need. New career in as little as one semester with Barton Community College's workforce training programs. Get real-world experience in fields like carpentry, natural gas, plumbing, scales tech, and welding. You can earn money while you go to school because most classes leave you with plenty of time for a part-time job or apprenticeship. Classes begin January 10th. Sign up today and start your new career. Visit gobarton.com to get started.
Let technology bring you closer this holiday season to loved ones near and far. With unlimited data as low as $25 a month, you can get the phone you want with the features you need from the best people. Next Tech Wireless. Keeping Kansans connected.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Welcome back, Sports Day here on KVGB, midweek program, and delighted to have Fran Martin with us today. Fran is the Assistant Executive Director for the Kansas State High School Activities Association, wears a lot of different hats, as people with K should do, and busy morning right now. I know that you're getting ready for a big meeting coming up here with the, I guess, the executive board. So what goes on days like that, Fran?
Well, Steve, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be a part of your show, and thanks for all you do for our high school sports and our middle school sports and your promotion. We certainly appreciate it a lot.
We love it.
Yeah, executive board meeting days for us are, pretty well. I'll just say this: it's a lot of sitting, but kind of like board meetings are. But we have a lot of information today for our board. We just got done. Bill had been out and done our October regional administrator meetings where we had about 10 topics that our schools were looking at and giving us input about whether they thought, hey, this is a good idea or this isn't a good idea. And so this meeting will be the first reveal of what it is that our schools kind of thought about the different proposals that went out in October. So we'll all get to see some exciting information today.
Hey, Fran, I know that one of the big events, and of course, when covering it, I called it the longest 2 days in sports. God only knows if I had to be the person working it, or and I'm sorry about the state track meet. It is a phenomenal event with all the classes, boys and girls there, and now with renovations coming to Wichita State's, or I guess tearing it down for the most part. What's the future of that? Do you still see all the classes coming together for just a celebration of track and field in the future?
Yeah. Well, that obviously would be our goal, because we do believe that is a tremendous culminating event for our year, to have everybody there. But you have to have a facility to be able to do that. And I know Wichita State is, they're still in their preliminary stages of what it is that's going to be there. We will be there this spring. That's already been determined, and we plan to be in our typical 2-day format. But due to COVID, we found out that we could do things differently, and we may have to look at some of those different options. But I think the long-term goal of the Activities Association would be to be able to have everybody at one site. But to be able to do that, you have to have a facility to do that, and that is kind of we will wait to see what Wichita State comes up with. We obviously have looked at other facilities in the state, and all of them have some great attributes, but none of them have the seating capacity that Wichita State has had. So we're going to continue to look at that. There is certainly no definitive plan other than we know that we will be there this year and work around whatever construction there is and make it a great event for our kids.
Okay, Fran, and I just want a timeline more than anything else on the classification change, the multiplier for private schools. What's the next step? Where's that stand? And moving forward, some timelines that Keisha's looking at on that.
Well, the next step is, since the State Board of Education approved it, the next step will be that it will go to the Kansas State Legislature. Okay. And the legislature has to make the change to that statute in order for the multiplier to take effect. And again, while it's only 3 words, everybody understands that once a bill has been introduced, anything germane to that topic can be added. So, there is the possibility that there could be a lot of other things come out of that bill. A legislator will propose that change, and then it could be amended. There could be a lot of other things that happen once it gets there. But until the legislature approves that, we can't make any changes and can't do anything different with our classifications or the multiplier or anything like that. So right now we're in a wait and see pattern to see what the legislature will approve. And again, those of you that understand, when a bill gets introduced, anything germane to that topic could be added to that. So that there could be some other things that come out of that other than just a multiplier.
Yeah.
and we have to be prepared for that. There are a lot of topics out there that are being discussed or have been discussed in the legislature about the Activities Association, and whether some of those get added to that bill, we just don't know that.
Fran Martin with us. She is Assistant Executive Director for the Kansas State High School Activities Association. Fran, I didn't know this. I should have. I mean, I don't know. You were out in lacrosse for a few years where you got your start, right?
I was. I'm a lacrosse leopard from my very first job out of college. I was fortunate enough to get a job at La Crosse High School, and I was there for 3 years and had the honor of being the head volleyball, head basketball, head track coach for all the girls' activities that we had, actually, and sponsored the majority of the clubs. And what a great place for me to get my start, being obviously very immersed in the community and how supportive they were of our girls and our programs. I was very lucky to get a start there.
Okay, I don't know if this matches up, so I'm probably going to ask a question. You're going to say, what is he talking? So did you coach Helen O'Borney?
I did.
Oh, I remember you going back to the state track meet. She was what a sprinter.
Yep.
And a runner. My gosh, lacrosse had some good girls track teams.
Yeah, she was awesome. We had some great kids.
Yeah.
There and had a, I distinctly remember we felt like we had a pretty good chance to maybe win the state track meet and we just, we had a couple of relays that didn't do quite as well as we thought they would, but when you get to that second day of the state track meet and you're adding up the numbers and you're going, okay, if we can place here in this and we can place here in this, but yeah, Helen was a great sprinter for us, and we had a great group of kids. That class of kids were great kids.
Yeah, the state track. Like we could have state track meet discussion. The heartache. It was the ABC thing. The victory and the heartbreak of defeat. And
yep.
Quinter. All they got to do is finish in the top three of the 4x100 or 4x4 last event, and the young lady jumped and false started.
Yep.
And oh man, that was terrible.
Yep.
Okay, so you've transitioned a little bit, Acacia, and really on the officiating side, it's kind of cool to go back to how you got involved in officiating, your passion for it, and what you're doing with Acacia right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I came to the Activities Association, obviously, my responsibilities were cross-country, basketball, baseball, and softball, and we really didn't have somebody that we had an officials registrar, but we didn't have a person that had a lot of a connection with officials, and that's just something that's kind of grown while I've been here. Obviously, the need for officials has caused the need for us to have a little bit more dedicated staff to that. But when I came to the Activities Association, and I've told this story many times, I truly believe that probably the reason that I got this job over the other 74 applicants was my background in officiating. When I left La Crosse, ironically, and went to El Dorado High School, they would not let me be the coach of 3 sports because it was a 5A school, and, coaches just didn't do that at that time. And so the athletic director at the time told me that he needed a volleyball official, and by God, I was going to register as a volleyball official, and so I did. And 35 years later, I'm still officiating volleyball, and that's kind of what got me into that niche. And, it doesn't matter what kind of an official you are, whether you're a football, basketball, baseball umpire. If you're an official, you're an official. And, you understand that every game is a little bit different, but you've got to have all the same skills as far as those soft skills of being able to manage people and manage tough situations. So when I quit coaching basketball, then I became a basketball official, and I believe that those things certainly helped me when it came time for me to get this job at the Activities Association, and then it just kind of became a passion. Officiating is a fraternity, and the relationships that you build with other officials and with coaches and kids is one that is just very, very unique and special, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons. If you ask officials, why do you keep doing it, that's the reason. It's the relationships, it's being able to be around kids, it's, all of those things. Because the hard part of it is, every time you blow your whistle or you make a call, half the people aren't happy with you. And some of them feel like they have to be pretty vocal about how bad you are. So that's the hard part about being an official.
But so what's your role now? And, of course, you're dealing with the official shortage and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of different issues behind that. But, I mean, what are some of the efforts that Keisha's making? I told on an interview earlier this year that, it used to look like an AARP meeting for the rules meetings, but I'm starting to see some younger guys go out there now. So, how's that going?
Yeah, so the position that I am working on this year, we will have at the end of this year fully in place a position called a Director of Officials. And while they will oversee the registration of officials, they will also have a lot of roles in working with schools, in using Arbiter and being able to assign and or pay officials through Arbiter. They will also be working on education programs. Currently, we're kind of in the middle of a push for our member schools to actually try to put into their curriculums a potential officiating class to get kids interested in officiating. And so, and you mentioned Quinter earlier, so I'm going to mention Quinter again. Quinter High School is one of our schools. We have 5 schools in the state right now that are using a program called Reps, and essentially it's an online class for officials for specific sports. So Quinter High School signed up for this, and John Christ has done an awesome job out there with the kids that he's got. In the fall, he had some of his kids in his class did the volleyball curriculum, and some of them did the football curriculum. They've had some guest speakers in to come talk to them. They've gone out and worked some matches in hopes that some of those kids kind of got that taste of what it was like to be an official, and maybe when they graduate, this is something that they'll take on maybe as a part-time job as they're going to college or to vocational school or just in the workplace. The interesting thing, I went out and talked to that class, and one of the interesting things that the kids told us was the fact that they had been in this officiating class and had done these modules of, what the official is looking for. The football players are like, we understand much better what it is they're calling and why they're calling it. And the volleyball kids that took the volleyball were kind of the same way, just a much better understanding. So that has been one of our big projects for this year. Is we tried to get some pilot schools on, which we were able to. We have 5 pilot schools currently using the Reps program. Then we've these 2 weeks we've had webinars for other schools. We have, I think, almost 70 schools who have signed up for the informational webinars about how to make this Reps program maybe part of a curriculum class that could be taught in high schools. We've also got a few colleges a few of our KCAC schools that are considering this. The advantage of the Reps program is you don't have to have an official who knows everything about every sport to teach the class, because it's a online course that they go through modules. It has video. It has quiz questions, and so it's been so far been a really good introduction to officiating for some of our high school students.
Sounds like you're really excited about this, Fran.
I am. This is, when prior to me finding out about Reps, my whole goal for this year was to write a curriculum that could just be dropped into any school. Well, the resources I didn't have were the ability to have this video and put quiz questions together and actually create the course. So the course being created really helped. It sped this process up probably 3 years, because it would have taken a long time to write a curriculum. And then when you write that kind of a curriculum, then you've got to have somebody that can teach it. Yeah. And that was the hard part. So now, Coach Christ, he doesn't have to know everything about being a football official. He can see the modules and go through the modules with the kids and see some of those things, but he doesn't have to teach it. It's being taught online, like many of our courses today are. So it has been a great thing. We're really looking forward to it. We have had for several years what we call a scholarship program. The Activities Association gives out 50 scholarships, and by scholarship I mean we're giving them a free registration, set them up with a mentor, and those kids then will go through and work a year, hopefully with some mentor officials, and get an opportunity under their belt. The majority of officials you lose within the first 3 years, and we're kind of tracking some of our scholarship kids, and we're noticing that we're keeping a few more than the ones who just sign up and maybe don't get that support. In fact, one of our very first kids that was a scholarship official is going to be working a state championship football game here next week. So we're pretty excited that he's come that far.
Well, Fran, I know that Bill won't let me talk to you anymore if I take up too much of your time here today, but it's you've had a cool journey. I mean, just from that kid out there coaching Helen O'Borney and then the track and field team and lacrosse to where you are today, it's a pretty good career, don't you think?
I've had a great career, and I certainly loved being a teacher and a coach, and that was a passion for me. And then when I got into officiating, it kind of opened up some different doors. And when the job at the Activities Association came up, I would have never dreamed I'd have gotten this opportunity. And 19 years later, I'm the veteran in the building, and it certainly has been a great journey. And I think one of the things is our activity programs are just that. We are so it's not just about our sports. We had a unified bowling state championship on Monday, and oh my gosh, to watch those kids and the interaction between those kids and their peer bowlers is just awesome. We've got. So that's a new event since I've been at the association. Just bowling is a new event, and that brought in a different kind of, or gave opportunities to different kinds of kids. So that has been awesome. And in addition to all the other things we do, our student council conferences and our KAY conferences and some of the speakers that we have for those that are just so motivational for our kids. High school interscholastic activity programs are a tremendous learning, teaching, growing experience for our kids, and I am just happy that I've gotten to be a part of them throughout my life, because I was one of those kids that got to participate when I was in high school.
Yeah, I think if I know at Great Bend High School, if you can't find somebody to participate in, whether it's sports or other activities that are offered, well, you're really not trying that hard, and man, it's so important to. Growing up, I know that.
Yep. Well, just the life lessons, that's what there are just so many life lessons that you learn being involved in activities that it's hard to necessarily put down on paper. But the things that the learning to get along with people who are different than you, time management, those kind of things that you don't know. It's hard to put down on paper all the things that you get out of activities other than just being on the field or the court or on the stage. So it's we got our state cheer and dance showcase coming up this weekend here at the Stormont Vale Event Center, and we have almost 100 schools in cheer and almost 60 schools in dance that are going to come and participate in that. So. A very exciting time for the Activities Association and for our kids. And, we should all be very proud of what our kids have done. It's not always, not everybody can be a state champion, but everybody can be a winner. And we want to provide opportunities for kids to be winners every day.
Fran, from one veteran in the building to another, thanks so much for being with us on the show today.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I really appreciate it. And again, thanks for all that you guys do at the station to promote our kids in a positive way, because we have great kids in Kansas doing great things, and that they get support from people like you, and we very much appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much. The one and only Fran Martin with us here on Sports Day. We'll have more coming up after this.
Consider advanced therapy in Great Bend and progressive therapy in Larned and Hayes.
There's nothing like A-STEM therapy. This is Tim Marcus from Progressive Physical Therapy in Hayes. Research shows A-STEM therapy improves muscle performance and neural functioning. It's highly effective for those dealing with tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, sports injuries, and general aches and pains.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
November is our Wellness Plan Awareness Month. We really like to get animals in there and do a complete evaluation. It can include everything, what kind of food an animal should be on. Are there any foods out there that can help improve their lifespan? Doing blood work, little things like getting minimum values for liver, kidneys, and other values can help us make better decisions later on. We can diagnose sooner, we can make changes sooner, which at the end of the day gives more life to your animal.
Large or small, they take care of them all at Animal Medical Center, just south of 10th and McKinley in Great Bend.
The University of Kansas Health System Great Bend campus wants to hear from you. Join them for a community town hall about shaping the health of our community on Monday, November 28th at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery. Discussions begin at 6 p.m. in the Kansas Room at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery at 2920 10th Street in Great Bend. Bring your ideas and questions. Light refreshments and appetizers will be served. They look forward to seeing you there. The University of Kansas Health System is committed to caring for you.
Sports Day on 1590 KVGB takes you now to Northwest Kansas for everything Fort Hays State Tigers and more. And now, Gerard Wellbrock.
Gerard Wellbrock joining us here on the show today. Gerard down to just one sport now to do. He doesn't have to do multiple. Football season, Gerard, coming to an end in Pittsburgh on Saturday for the Tigers. Put their 3-8 season under Chris Brown into perspective on what he's been able to get accomplished in Hays?
I guess it really, there's years 3-8. There's a lot of 3-8 years in Fort Hays State history.
Yes, there are.
You learn to appreciate what they had, and I don't think Fort Hays is this. And I think it's going to be hard for Fort Hays to contend for a conference championship every year. MIAA is too tough. You're going against some obstacles that Fort Hays State's not going to be able to overcome every year. Now, injuries this year are obviously huge, and I think if Chance Fuller plays more than 2 games, I think minimum 5 and 6, and I think they had a great chance to be 6 and 5. I can think of 3 games. If Chance plays, it's a different outcome. And so, to me, I've been thinking about that this week. What does 6 and 5 look like with even all the other injuries? I think they still. You lose an all-conference quarterback, and you replace him with someone who's never played a down of college football. It's tough. And it took a while early. They lost some games. I think they win if Chance is healthy. So I think you appreciate the years you're good. I think, obviously, they've dropped way further than they wanted to, but I think they feel they're going to be back in a couple of years. They're going to be young again next year. So, they may struggle in some games to get wins, but I think it'll be a different struggle. Hopefully they stay healthy, and hopefully they've used up all the injuries this year and don't have to go through this for a long, long time. And Saturday, Jack Dawson, who probably had his best series of the year, the opening drive against Pitt, Fort Hays State goes down and scores, separates his shoulder, and he was done for the game. And so it's just like that's just how the year went. You have a little bit of success, and you get slapped in the face. But I think it's appreciation, kind of to answer your question, for the years Fort Hays State has won conference championships and have been in the hunt. They were a double overtime loss away from winning 3 straight conference titles and making it to the playoffs 3 straight years. And so I think they'll be back. And in a weird way, there's so many young players who had to play probably more than they should have. But they've got great experience you can't replicate in practice. And they've also tasted what it's like to not be successful. And when they were recruited by Fort Hays State, Tigers on the top of the mountain. You look when Chris came in and built the program and they ascended better every year, you had a bunch of guys who finally had enough of losing. I think you got a core of guys that kind of have that same feel and are gonna do what you have to do to turn this thing around. I thought Saturday played, as physical as they've been all year, and Pitt's really good, but they played hard and played a pretty good game, even though the scoreboard may not show it.
Chance Fuller, he's a COVID baby, one of the the ones that got a little extra eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he ranked, Gerard, in Fort Hays' all-time quarterback list?
He's pretty darn good, and it's hard to compare because college football is so much different now, and there's so much more offense, and teams throw. As far as a pure passer and just a mind for football, he's as good as any of them. And I think you take him out of the equation, what happens? And I mean, I think of him, I think of, redshirt freshman year going into Northwest Missouri State, and hey, you're getting the start because I think you give us the best chance to win over a veteran quarterback who's dotted in the record books in Jacob Mazzara, and you come through and win. How's that for your debut? Yeah. And, you help the Tigers win a conference title. He's one of the guys I really feel bad for because he was so good, and he lost the year because of COVID, and then his senior year, and Tigers were expecting better things, and one of it was because they had, if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, and he never got to show that. And he tried to come back, and it was multiple injuries in his knee and his shoulder. And you just feel for guys like that because they put so much blood and sweat into the program. And, in your senior year, you pretty much have it taken away from you, but that's the way life works sometimes. But, I mean, he's right up there. And another one for me is Manny Ramsey at wide receiver. When you look at you look at where he finished, and he got first-team all-conference this week, he's right up there with the best receivers who ever have worn a Fort Hays State uniform. Even though he had 2 seasons where the Tigers weren't good, he was a young guy when they were on that 19 team and even a part of 18 as a young guy, didn't play as much. His numbers are right up there with everybody who's in the Hall of Fame or, in the top 5 of all the major statistical categories. So there's a couple of guys on this team that have been as good as any that's ever worn the uniform.
Gerard Wellbrock with us, voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Let's turn the page. Let's go to basketball right now. Women off to a 2-2 start. Pretty tough schedule. You schedule tough like that. How much does that hurt you later on in the year if you don't pick up wins in 80% of those games?
Well, it can. Central Missouri found that out last year. And to Tony's credit, the exempt tournament in Kansas City came on late. He had his schedule, and I think it was probably about right. And then those 2 games came, and he didn't want to miss. That's a great opportunity to get invited to that. And so now you add an Elite 8 team and another really good one. So we'll see. I think this weekend's key. Minnesota State's ranked 15th. They had a great game in the NCAA tournament a year ago. Tigers prevailed by 5. They're good. They have. I mean, it's going to be up and down, full court press. It's going to be crazy. If they can find a way to win 2 at home this weekend against 2 teams that were NCAA tournament teams a year ago, I think you come out of that stretch 4-2, you feel pretty good. And I think you're going to be okay because as of right now, Fort Hays State's schedule is ranked number 1 in the country in Division II as far as toughness goes. Now, that'll change as the season goes along, but as long as they can, survive it here early, and then you do what you can do in conference, I think they'll be okay. But to me, I think tomorrow or Friday's games with Minnesota State's a big one. If they can find a way to win that, because they're probably going to win the Northern Sun if they stay healthy, that will go down as a big win. And I think you survive this early tough stretch.
Colorado Mesa.
Yeah.
Mesa State returns to the Coliseum.
Mesa State.
Yeah. They're going to be in there on Saturday.
It's kind of old RMAC week because the men on Sunday play Metro State, which is now MSU Denver.
Yeah. So that's what
MSU Denver. Yeah. So it's good. So I'm sure it'll be Mesa State and Metro State for me all weekend. But yeah, it's like an old RMAC throwback. That'll be kind of fun. And it's not the Metro State I think we remember of when Fort Hays was in the conference. They're still good, but maybe not to the level when Mike Dunlap was their coach. But yeah, that'll be fun. And Colorado Mesa, I mean, they're picked high in the RMAC. They've been a perennial. I mean, they've been to an Elite 8 about 6-7 years ago. Couple of Elite 8s, and NCAA tournaments a lot. So it'll be 2 good tests for the Tiger women.
Mike Hesher's going to be there on Friday. You don't want to know why?
Really cool. Now why?
Because he says that Minnesota State's point guard is very pretty.
Well, I don't going to comment on that. I just know she's really good. She was a load last year, and And it is. It's full court press. If Fort Hays can handle the press, and this is what's scary, that Jaden Hobbs, who's, we talked about how good she was, Fort Hays had 28 turnovers last year against them and somehow managed to win. If they do that on Friday, I don't see them having a chance to win. But if you can beat their pressure, you're going to get good shots. But that's easier said than done. But, she's really good. They've got a good team.
All right, Gerard, Wellbrock, the men will play also this weekend. They're off to a 1-1 start. So just keep an eye out for the creeper on Friday.
Okay. I will do that. I'm sure I'll find him.
Yeah, it'll be a trench coat and probably, I don't know. Like I said, if you didn't come on here and get something you weren't expecting, my friend, it would not be.
No, that's what makes it enjoyable every Wednesday. It's the highlight of my Wednesday, and we have Tiger Club on Wednesday. So that tells you. And they had like a really good Thanksgiving meal today, and this is still the highlight. So that tells you
you're the best.
Where this ranks on my Wednesday.
Talk to you next week.
See ya.
Gerard here on the program. Yeah. You want to...
I think I said she was very athletic.
I don't think it was that. Okay. All right. More Sports Day coming up.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
To be the king of the road, you have to fill with the king of diesels. We're talking about Cenex Premium Diesel. It comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn. Cenex Roadmaster XL even cleans up and prevents injector fouling to keep your trucks out of the shop and on the road. And typical number 2 diesel? That's always an option. The wrong option. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today. Venture Corporation is now hiring for a CDL tanker operator driver. We'll operate the same truck all week. New higher wages with flexible hours, no weekends, and time and a half over 40 hours. Blue Cross and Blue Shield health insurance, vision insurance, Section 125 cafeteria plan, 401k retirement plan with match. Venture Corporation is an equal opportunity employer. Women and minorities encouraged. Apply in person at 214 South Highway 281 in Great Bend. Online at VentureCorpKS.com or call Leslie at Venture Corporation. Homegrown, family owned. When you need to get rid of the pain, you want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Learn the skills you need to get started in a new career in as little as 1 semester with Barton Community College's workforce training programs. Get real-world experience in fields like carpentry, natural gas, plumbing, scales tech, and welding. You can earn money while you go to school because most classes leave you with plenty of time for a part-time job or apprenticeship. Classes begin January 10th. Sign up today and start your new career. Visit GoBarton.com to get started.
Now, in its second decade, it's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
It's been, wait a second. There you go.
And after today's show, it may not make a third decade.
Well, this is the best show ever. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's buffer week.
There's
not as many things to talk about.
Granted, I will say the Minnesota State guard, she is attractive and she can play.
She was hot.
Just throw me underneath the bus all over. It was nice working with you all here at Eagle Radio. I'll be seeing you.
You didn't say nothing.
Okay, all right.
My loud mouth that did it. Okay. Coming up tomorrow, Connor Nichols going to be on the show because he said he didn't want to come on with you chumps on Friday. Who else do we have?
I don't have anybody.
You need to get somebody.
I didn't realize that was my responsibility. When you're here, it's your it's yours.
I don't see it says Sports Day with Steve Webster.